In one of my lectures, I spoke about the fact that Islam, as a religion, as a way of life, is compatible and in sync with every other religion known to mankind today. That if you or if anyone was to study the Holy Quran and read the Holy Quran, they would say that this book belongs to me. And this book, or this holy book, is my holy book. If anyone, Muslim, non-Muslim, especially the non-Muslims, if they were to study the Holy Quran, they will come to the realization that whatever is written in the Quran is their core belief. And this is something which my uncle has gone through. That a few years ago, me and my uncle, we both went to the British Library in London to do some research. And we realized that we were told that the book does not exist. It's not in the British Library, but it is in the British India Library. So they sent us to the British India Library with one of the employees of the British Library. And my uncle asked him out of curiosity. And they started discussing, and my uncle asked that, you work in a library, have you by any chance studied or read the Holy Quran? He's a Christian. And he goes, yes, I've read the Holy Quran, and I have a copy of it, and I've read it on numerous occasions. So as we asked the person that, what got you interested in studying the Holy Quran? He said that I was the officer. He was a diplomatic officer based in Dubai, at the British Embassy in Dubai. And whilst I was out there, I got interested in the Muslim beliefs. And I picked up the Quran and read it. And I had always been told, before I studied the Holy Quran, before I knew anything about the Quran, that it is a message to humanity. And it teaches us how to live life. Therefore, I thought that this book, the Quran, must be in as many volumes as, for example, the British Encyclopedia or the Britannica, which is 28 volumes and encompasses the history of mankind. And every year, those who have a copy of it will know that every year a new edition, a new volume of the Britannica is published. But to my shock, I found out that the Quran is only about 300 pages. Yet it teaches us everything from the beginning of mankind till your Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And I believe, he states himself that I believe that this is the most complete book of guidance for humanity. I told him that, by the way, it doesn't have just the knowledge up to the Holy Prophet, but the Quran has the knowledge until the end of time. And like I said previously, that the Quran in itself, only out of 6,000, commonly known as 6,666 ayat, but the reality is that it is less than that, 6,200 and something. But out of all of these ayats, only 500 ayats of the Holy Quran are based on law, jurisprudence, and the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the fasting and rest. The rest of the Holy Quran is what? It is a compilation of stories. It tells you the incident of the prophets, Hazrat Musa, Hazrat Jesus, Hazrat Isa, Bibi Maryam, and it teaches the stories and incidents prior to our civilization. And I always say that the Quran is a book of history. And why do we study history? The main aim for us to study history is to learn from the mistakes of the past so that we are able to correct and perfect our present and our future. That is the core basis of studying history. Not those civilizations which were before us. How did they study? What mistakes? How did they live? What mistakes did they make? And how are we able to better ourselves from the previous civilizations? But the rest of the ayat, this is what they are based upon. And we can take a lot from it. And if we were to explain our core beliefs to a non-Muslim, they would turn around and say that we believe in the exact same. That furu' deen, namaz, roza, hajj, zakat, khums, jihad, amr bil ma'roof, nahy anil munkar, tawalla and tabarra. The first six, which fall under the category of, in terms of the layman, the first six fall under the category of the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And every single religion has these six. All three of them, for example, monotheistic faiths, Islam, Judaism and Christianity, they all believe in, their equivalent of Hajj is, for example, going to the Western Wall or going to the place where Jesus was born. They also fast, they also pray. And if we were to speak to them about jihad, holy war, they will also accept that. And if we try and say that the greatest of jihad within Islam is jihad al-nafs, the battle with one's own self, with one's desires. Every single creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will agree to this. That jihad bin nafs is what makes us better human beings. Whether the person is a Christian, a Jew, a Hindu, a Buddhist, they will all agree to this. And then the last four are what? That I guide others towards good and do good myself, and advise others from doing bad, stop them from committing bad, and myself, I stop committing sin. And tawalla and tabara, show love towards the lovers of the Ahlul Bayt and the Ahlul Bayt, and enmity and hatred towards the enemies of the Ahlul Bayt. The last four, even that, if explained correctly, they will agree to it. Especially amr bil ma'roof and nahy anil munkar. Every single human being believes in that. The last two, if you explain it, they would say that we believe the same in regards to our prophets and our messiahs and our supreme guides. Therefore, if you look at our furu' deen, and at the same time, if you look at our usul deen, the core usul deen, which is Tawheed, the oneness of Allah, the prophethood of the prophets, and the Day of Judgment. All those who believe in one Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one God. Whatever that God may be, they all agree in these three. And for us, do comparative study, comparative research, and find the commonalities between the religions. And within the monotheistic faiths, there are far more commonalities than differences. It is compulsory upon their women to do hijab. Study their beliefs. It is compulsory upon them that pork and alcohol is forbidden. In all three monotheistic religions. But over time it has changed. I remember I was in Leeds a few years ago for the holy month of Ramadan. During the day I would get bored and I'd walk around. About a kilometer away from where I was staying, there was a synagogue. When I got bored, I walked into the synagogue. And I went to the library and I saw a book called the Zohar. Picked it up, the first volume, and the first page of the Zohar had a supplication on it, where it stated at the top of the page that it is highly recommended that you recite the supplication before you recite the Zohar. And when I read that supplication, that dua, I realized that the dua is exactly the same as the dua taught to us by our fourth Imam, Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam. Yeah, it is most likely to recite the dua before you recite the Quran. I started studying and I went through the Zohar, realizing that the Zohar is what in Arabic we call Suhuf Ibrahim. Surah ala Suhuf Ibrahim wa Musa. As I was studying, the rabbi came in and we started talking with each other, and I showed him the dua, the supplication, and I showed him our dua. And I said, look at this, compare the two. They're both exactly the same. Only a minute difference in wording. He started to smile. And he goes, what do you expect? He goes, we are all from the same faith. And I smiled and I said, yes, that is correct. Because the progeny of Ibrahim in the Quran is called Muslims. Yeah? Well, this is what we believe, this is what states in the Quran, that Ibrahim called his progeny Muslims. And he stated that that is correct. There's no issue in that. And of course, let me tell you something else. That I personally, the rabbi himself states that I personally believe that every prophet that had been sent down by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was a Muslim. From Hazrat Adam to your Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. They were all Muslims. Now, what about your prophets? Prophet Moses, Abraham, Isaac. What about King Solomon, King David, Temple Mountain, Jerusalem? What about this? Everybody goes, they're all Muslims. So why today? Why is there a difference? Why do you call yourself the Jews? Why do the Christians call themselves Christians? And why do we call ourselves Muslims? Right? It has nothing to do with with religion. It's all to do with politics. And goes, let me tell you another thing. That a true Jew would believe that we are Muslims. That all the prophets sent down by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are Muslims. And I also believe that the actual land of Israel is not occupied territory by the Muslims. That land belonged to the Muslims. And of course, what I have studied about the history of civilization, the history of prophets, and your religion, Islam, was that wherever I saw the Muslim empire go, I saw that they did not occupy that land, but they liberated that land. This is Islam. The message of Islam is what? The message of Islam is to give life. The same as the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. The same as all 124,000 prophets, they came to give life. Not take life away. Not to make life difficult for us. They came to simplify our lives for us and make our lives more beautiful for us. Salawat. But we as human beings, due to our ego, due to our arrogance, have made our religion difficult upon ourselves. And if you want to understand another aspect of how religion, Islam is a religion of mannerisms and etiquettes. In Australia, Melbourne, there's a museum called, I think it's Melbourne, I can't remember, it's somewhere in Australia. I visited the place myself. There's a museum called the Museum of Etiquettes. And what they've done is that they've gathered the best books that they could find on etiquette and manners. And also it's a big hall. And all the books that they have are on all four walls, decorated and in glass cases. But there's a centerpiece. There was a centerpiece right in the middle of the hall, which was greater and bigger than the rest. So I went to look at that book. And the book was in Hebrew. It's a manuscript written in Hebrew. Underneath, in English, it's written that the curators of this museum have traveled all across the globe looking for books, and the best books on manners and etiquette. This book that you see in front of you is the greatest book that they have come across in regards to etiquette and manners. This book is a compilation of letters, sermons and sayings of Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. Yeah, the best book on etiquette and mannerism that they could find was the Nahj al-Balagha of our Imam. Even that written in Hebrew. And it continues at the bottom of that. The page that this book is open at right now is the best example of how to live your life. And that is the letter of Amir al-Mu'mineen to Malik Ashtar. Written in Hebrew on the centerpiece. This is our Imam. Yet, how are the Muslims behaving? That you look towards ISIS. How? They're spreading Islam by the sword. You either follow them or you don't. Well, that Allahu Akbar, which is a sign of love. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the greatest. But greatest in what sense? Allahu Akbar, Akbar. The term Akbar means great. But great in what sense? If we say that He is greater than everything that we have known, then we have compounded Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That whatever we see, Allah is greater than that. But if I turn and say, what about those aspects which we have not seen? Is Allah greater than that or not? Therefore, Allahu Akbar, the term Allahu Akbar, Allah is great. I personally believe that great, because there is no other term that we are able to use to introduce the manifest power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the example we use. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not something which can be contained within the term Akbar. This is where we go into the terms of, we go into the realms of logic and philosophy and mysticism. Then we speak about the characteristics and the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But you must understand that whatever we see, if we wish to see a glimpse of the might of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or if we wish to see a glimpse of every single attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on this earth, we must look towards none other than the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. Even that, they showed a minute glimpse of the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is why you have a group of people who believe Imam Ali alayhi salam to be God. That they could not comprehend the intellect, the knowledge, the mercy, the power of Amir al-Mu'mineen, therefore they called him God. But once again, come down to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cannot be compounded into a physical being. That's why we say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is closer to us than our jugular veins. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is everywhere. Right? Once again, it comes into the realms of philosophy. That if is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala everywhere, therefore if I say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is inside my pocket, is it correct or not? What is Allah? What is our Lord? There's something that we must ponder upon, think upon. Think upon in the darkness of our own rooms. Think purely towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through what the Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam have taught us about Allah. Okay? Just sit there, sitting on your bed, start thinking. For example, we have that famous that if you're not able to sleep, start counting sheep. I said that if you're not able to sleep, start pondering about the creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Start thinking about the might of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the mercy of Allah. Or, even better, every night, read one attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one of the Asma al-Husna, and think about it. That how is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for example, Qahar? How is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Quddus? How is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Rahman and Rahim? In what way do these attributes affect our day-to-day life? And how can we bring these attributes into our souls? Humanity, the mission, the aim of human beings is betterment of their own souls. That is what the human struggle is from the very beginning. From the day you are born to the day that you die. That's why you have the hadith of the Holy Prophet. That seek knowledge from the cradle to the grave. But at that time he said, seek knowledge even if it takes you to the walls of China. For the sake of knowledge. Like I said, that knowledge can be used both positively and negatively. It's our decision to make. That the knowledge that I seek, do I seek it for negative use or positive use? That's our own decision. For example, the issue with Iran and America today over the nuclear issue. What is it? The West is saying that Iran is after nuclear technology to make atomic bombs, nuclear weapons. Iran says no. The reason that we are seeking nuclear technology is for peaceful purposes. They agree to disagree on their opinions. But know that a true Muslim, a true believer of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will never seek knowledge to destroy mankind. And it never has. Yes, the Muslim world have created weapons. Study the history of Islam. Study Ismailism and the history of the assassins, for example. But they came into existence to defend their religion and their belief, and nothing else. Unfortunately, today, I remember a few years ago, Cambridge University started off a course, Terrorism in Shia Islam. It was an actual course at Cambridge University called Terrorism and Violence in Shia Islam. And I was supposed to think that. What made them come up with this subject? Right? I don't see any terrorism or violence in Islam. Islam is a religion of peace. Islam is a religion of harmony. If you look at the wars that the Holy Prophet and Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib went into. Amir al-Mu'mineen went into approximately 80 wars throughout his life. If you look at them, you study them. You see, all of these wars were defensive. None of these wars are classified as offensive. Today you have defensive and offensive battles. Every single war of Islam during the time of the Holy Prophet and Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib, including the Battle of Karbala, were all defensive wars. Not one man can say that one of these wars were offensive. Battle of Badr, Uhud, Khandaq, Khaybar, Hunayn, Tabuk, Jamal, Siffin, Nahrawan. They were all battles which come under the category of defensive battles. And every human being has the right to defend themselves. Every religion, every mankind has the right to defend their religion and their belief. Yet today, these same battles of the Holy Prophet, people base that as the basis of Islam being a religion of violence, Islam being a religion of terrorism. Once again, study the Quran, study the Holy Prophet. The Holy Prophet was sent down as Rahmatul lil Alameen, a mercy upon mankind, or I should say, mercy upon the earth. Alameen. Alameen is plural. If we from this, we understand that there are other civilizations which are running parallel to ours. This galaxy, this earth that we look at, it's not the only one. There are numerous galaxies, numerous civilizations which exist parallel. Which run parallel to our world. Yet, we have the arrogance thinking that we are the only creation. We are the only civilization. Examples before us. How many times has Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala destroyed the complete civilization and we created them? How many times? The incident, the biggest example is that of Hazrat Noor, where the whole earth was covered with water. No one was left alive apart from those who were in the ark. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala recreated civilization. Hazrat Adam, and how he created civilization. The incidents of the Jinnah, the jinns, who came to Amir al-Mu'mineen to resolve their issues. How Amir al-Mu'mineen went into battle with the jinns. The angels themselves are different civilization running parallel to ours. You've all studied and heard of the 7 skies, the 7 heavens. Study it. One is 7 heavens and the other is the 7 skies. 2 different things. We mix the 2 up. We think that the 7 skies and the 7 heavens are the same. This verse says, study the Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam. That the Ahlul Bayt are the Imams of all. I'll give you a famous incident. What? Our 8th Imam, Imam Razavi alayhi salam. That the scholar who designed, the architect behind the Haram of Imam Razavi alayhi salam. He's buried in the Haram. Very great scholar, Tabarsi, I believe. That when the Haram was being designed, and the main entrance into the shrine of Imam Razavi alayhi salam was being built, he told the builder that on top of the gate, leave a little gap, because I want to put something inside. So the builder done as he was ordered. Right? As the day finished, he left the gap, he went home. That same night, the Imam came into the dream of the builder and ordered him to close that gap off. So the Imam has come into the builder's dream, he's worried. First thing he does as soon as he wakes up, goes running towards the Haram and blocks the gap. The Shaykh comes, he looks, he sees that there's no gap. He goes, I told you to leave a gap. So the builder once again makes a gap in the wall on top of the entrance. Shaykh goes back, the builder that night, the Imam once again comes into his dream. And says, I told you, I gave you the order to close off that gap. So the builder once again goes back and closes the gap. Same incident took place again 3rd night. On the 4th, the Shaykh went to the builder and says that if you do not leave a gap, I will make sure that you are sacked. So the builder, he's afraid that his earning will disappear. Leaves a gap, goes back. That night, Imam Razavi alayhi salam enters into the dream of the Shaykh. And he goes, there is a reason. Why? before that, the builder asks the Shaykh, or the Shaykh asks the builder that, why is it that I constantly tell you to leave a gap but you close it? The builder said that every night I leave a gap, but every night the Imam appears in my dream telling me to block it off. And the Shaykh is shocked. So he goes back that same night. The Imam enters into the dream of the Shaykh and says, the reason why I have told you to block that gap, the builder to block the gap, is because I'm the Imam of all. Imam of all of creation. Not just the Muslims, not just the mu'mineen, but of all of humanity. On the next day, he goes back and he tells the builder, block it off. The builder goes, what's happened? For the past 3 days you've been adamant that I leave a gap, now today you're saying that. What happened? And why are you today giving the orders to block off the gap? The Shaykh replied that I had written a hirz, an amulet, which I wish to place onto an entrance of the haram, so that only those who are the true believers in the Imam are able to enter the haram. Anyone else who tried to enter would die on the spot. Therefore, the Imam came into my dream and said that I am the Imam of all. It doesn't matter whether you're a Muslim or a non-Muslim, whether you believe in the Imam or not. I said that when the Imam of our time reappears, every single creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on this earth will point towards the Imam and say that I have seen this man. This man came to me in my time of need. When I had lost all hope in humanity, this man came and guided me. These are our Imams. These are the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. This is why I say that the religion of Islam is the religion of all of humanity. The problem is that we are not able to propagate that true religion of Islam to humanity. The problem is that we are not able to propagate the true message of Hussain ibn Ali to society and mankind. If we were able to do so, every single creation would shout out that Hussain is ours. If we were able to truly propagate the message of Hussain ibn Ali, if we were truly able to propagate the event and the tragedy of Karbala to the non-Muslims, they would all cry. They would all join in weeping for the Shahadat of Imam Hussain. Yet, we have not been able to do our duty to the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. That responsibility, what is our responsibility to the Imam? Our responsibility to the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam is to introduce them to the rest of the world. And if we were able to do so, I can guarantee that they would say that this Imam is ours. And I challenge anyone and everyone to prove me wrong. I'll go as far as to say that I'm willing to do mubahira with anyone who is able to say that the Imam is not the Imam of all, that Islam is not the religion of all. Islam is the most complete religion, Islam is the most complete way of life. Bring anyone who is willing to debate me on this. I challenge everyone, challenge is open. That if we as Muslims were able to propagate the true teachings of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, the true teachings of the ayat of the Holy Quran, everyone would be saying, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. But we as Muslims are falling short. We as Muslims have not been able to raise the bar, as they say. Today we gather to commemorate the martyrdom of Hazrat Qasim ibn Hassan, the 13-year-old son of our second Imam. At the age of 13, where he shouldn't be worrying about death. Yet, he sees in Karbala, on the day of Ashura, that one by one, first the companions of the Imam go into the battle and do not return. Then he sees, after the companions, the youth of the Bani Hashim start going into the battlefield. He sees Bibi Zainab preparing her sons Ala Muhammad to go into battle. She sees Layla preparing Ali Akbar to go into battle. He sees Rubab preparing the 6-month-old Ali Asghar to go into battle. There comes a time where Janab al-Qasim goes to the Imam. He says, "Oh Imam, give me permission to go into battle." Imam Hussain declines, saying, "You are the last remainder of my brother Hassan. You look very similar to him. Every time I remember Hussain ibn Ali, Hassan, my brother Hassan, I look towards you. You are the exact resemblance of my brother Hassan. How then can I allow you to go into battle?" Janab al-Qasim is depressed that he sees his peers, Ala Muhammad, his cousins, all go into battlefield and give their life for Islam. Yet he has not been given the permission. He goes to his mother, Farwa, saying, "Oh mother, Uncle Hussain is not giving me permission to go into battle. What should I do? How can I seek permission? And how will Hussain, my Uncle Hussain, give me permission to go into battle?" All of a sudden, Farwa remembers the amulet on the arm of Janab al-Qasim. When Imam Hassan had placed that amulet on the arms of Janab al-Qasim, he had said to Farwa that there will come a time where your son Qasim will be helpless. At that moment, open this amulet. Farwa opens the amulet. She sees that it is a letter from one brother to another. And says, "Oh brother Hussain, there will come a time where you will be left all alone. At that time, accept Qasim as my sacrifice for Islam." Janab al-Qasim reads the letter and starts to smile. He goes running to Hussain ibn Ali. He shows Janab al-Hussain, Imam Hussain, the letter of his brother Hassan. Imam Hussain reads the letter and he starts to weep. He kisses the letter and goes to Qasim. "Oh Qasim, go get ready." Qasim goes, prepares himself for battle. He comes back to bid his last farewell to his Imam. Hussain ibn Ali comes. He takes off the turban from the head of Qasim and places the turban of Janab Imam Hassan and Islam on the head of Janab al-Qasim. And as he is sending him into battle, Janab al-Qasim is so young that when he sits on the horse, his feet do not reach the stirrups. He calls upon his uncle Abbas, says, "Oh uncle, can you tie my feet to the stirrups so that I do not fall when I go into the battle?" Abul Fadl Abbas ties the feet of Qasim to the stirrups, sends him into battle. Qasim fights valiantly. Yet there comes a time where Umar ibn Sa'ad says that these are the youth of the Bani Hashim. You will never be able to overpower them unless you surround them from all directions and then attack them from all directions. Janab al-Qasim is struck from the back. He falls off his horse. As he falls off the horse, he cries out, "Assalamu alayka ya Ammar." "Oh my uncle Hussain, my last salams upon you." Hussain and Abul Fadl Abbas, hearing the sound of Janab al-Qasim, go running into the battlefield. But when the enemy see that both Hussain and Abbas are running into the battlefield with the swords drawn, they think that Hussain and Abbas have come for battle. In their fear, they start running to the left and the right. In between, they trample the body of Qasim in such a way that the body is torn into pieces. Imam Hassan reaches the body of Qasim. He sees that the body has been torn into pieces. He takes off his abba, places the abba on the sands of Karbala, and picks up the body of Janab al-Qasim as if he is plucking rose from the flower. He gathers the body into his abba and he goes back to the camp. He calls upon his sister Zainab. "Oh Zainab, come and condole Farwa. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. رضا بقضائه وتسليما لأمره. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم أدخل على أهل القبور السرور، اللهم اغن كل فقير، اللهم اشف كل جائع، اللهم اكف كل عريان، اللهم اقض دين كل مدين، اللهم فرج عن كل مكروب، اللهم رد كل قريب، اللهم فك كل عسير، اللهم اصلح كل فاسد من امور المسلمين، اللهم اشف كل مريض، اللهم سد فقرنا بغناك، اللهم غير سوء حالنا بحسن حالك، اللهم اقض عنا الدين واغننا من الفقر، انك على كل شيء قدير. صلوات.
عنوي الوالي